everybody, welcome back to The Hobby Musician. On today's practice vlog, I wanted to share with you a couple of the techniques that I'm currently working on that will hopefully allow me to expand the tone options when it comes to playing with kind of a minimal setup. The reason that I'm working on this is that a few days ago I was scrolling through YouTube and I stumbled across a recent interview with one of my bass heroes, Marcus Miller. And in this interview, among other things, he was kind of reminiscing and retelling some of the stories of him working and coming up as a studio musician back in the 70s and 80s. And he mentioned in that section that he had to learn a lesson very quickly and very early on that really helped him be successful in playing with all these amazing artists. He said that, well, the way studios worked, and some studios kind of still work like this today, is that as a bass player, you would show up on any given day. The studio engineer, the sound engineer, would plug you right into the board, put a compressor on your instrument, and that was it. You had to deliver whatever kind of tone and whatever kind of style just from your fingers and just from your bass. There weren't effect pedals, there weren't amps or cabs. You just had to go. And he was saying that, look, whatever tone he might need for a funk record, he would come back the next week and he might be playing on a soul or an R&B record. And so he'd have to actually consciously change how he played and what he played to match the feel for whatever song he was trying to record. So I'm going to show you two techniques today that if you take them and kind of work them in combination and flip them, you can take those two techniques and essentially get yourself up to about 4 unique separate tones out of a very minimal setup. So I've tried to recreate what he was talking about in that video. This bass, what you're going to hear today, this bass is plugged into a compressor. And that's it. Out of the compressor, it's coming right into the recording software. So everything you hear is just going to be coming from the different techniques. Number one, I'm kind of embarrassed to admit this, but it took me a long time to realize that as a bass player, some instruments, and not all instruments, but this particular one, whenever you have multiple pickups, use them, experiment with them. Tip number one is try out your different pickup combinations, because you might be surprised, at least I was surprised, that, hey, a bass guitar isn't just all low end. Sometimes by switching to different pickups, you can emphasize and accentuate different ranges of the sound frequency spectrum to give yourself different tones. So what we're going to do today, I want to demonstrate. I'm just going to start out by using my neck pickup. So I have 2 separate volume controls. This one now is completely on and there's nothing. The bridge pickup is completely off. And I'm just going to do a short, simple groove. But instead of listening to the notes, try to listen to the tone of the notes. What kind of feeling are we able to get with this? So something simple, just... Okay, on a neck pickup, and this is pretty similar to a lot of neck pickups, you'll typically get some rounder, warmer feeling tones. The lower ends are definitely accentuated. The really sharp, crisp high ends don't necessarily come through. But now I'm going to turn off that neck pickup and I'm going to turn on the bridge pickup and try to play almost exactly the same thing. And let's see if that changes anything. Already there we get a different tone. That, to me, there's a little, the lower end kind of gets tamed down and some of those mids and highs come out just from physically moving a pickup closer to a bridge. So step one of experimenting and expanding your tone options is play with your pickups. The same kind of things can actually deliver you different tone sounds. Number 2, this is the one that I didn't spend nearly as much time on, but I'm working on that currently. Number two is where on the bass are you going to play? So for this example, I'm going to go back to my neck pickup and I am going to play, I'm going to put my hand physically kind of in my natural. This is whenever I pick up an instrument, my hand kind of naturally falls and I rest my thumb on the neck pickup of basically whatever I'm trying to play. But I want to play that same riff, and then I'm going to physically move my hand around, and I want you to listen for what that does to the tone. So, just once again, just to kind of get what that riff is. Okay, so I've changed it up there a little bit, but now I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to shift it back to the bridge pickup. I didn't turn it on, I'm still playing through the neck pickup, but I'm just physically moving my hand. And just by moving that hand, going back, little smoother, moving it closer to the bridge. It's a little snappier, it's a little poppier. And this can be taken to the extreme when you now start putting those two techniques together. As I mentioned earlier, you can play around with the pickups and you can play around with where you place your hands, and you can get some crazy variety. So I want to demonstrate what I meant at the top when Marcus was describing different styles of music really call for different tones. I want to play kind of an iconic bass line, and I want to play around, and I'm going to play it twice. I want to change the tones, and I want you to hear which one sounds, I don't know, like it fits, and which one maybe sounds out of place, even though the notes are all going to be the same. So here we go. I'm going to start out, I turned it off. I'm going to start out with my neck pickup, and I'm going to play my placement, what I call my natural one, just over the neck pickup. So I want you to listen to this bass line. Okay, pretty iconic. Now let me play the absolute extreme. I'm going to go to the bridge pickup, so I'm down here, and I'm going to shift my hand over the bridge pickup, so playing closer to the physical bridge. I'll play the exact same thing. So once again, same notes, but the tone, the feeling of that line really does change when you shift around and play with your technique and produce a different sound out of the bass. So I don't know, to me, that kind of a bass line really, it calls for something warmer and rounder. So if I reset everything back, I've turned on my neck pickup and I go back in, and so and right there, that feels more like it should. Well, I hope you got something out of today's practice vlog, and maybe you can even start working some of those techniques into your own playing. So as always, I want to thank you for watching, and until next time, play on, my friends, play on.